Right, now you've got your arm and your body, but you'll probably notice your body is probably not quite long enough. Like, I want mine longer. So what I'm going to do is put my arm in here, because this is the sleeve. Don't worry about how short that is right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to work on this bit, and we're going to get it to the length that we want. So I want it probably down to about here. So I'm probably going to try 10 rows and see how it goes. Okay? I just started recording this once and realised I was using the wrong hook size. So let's start again. Right, in this corner here, so this is the bottom of the cardigan. So in the very corner at the bottom, we are going to join our yarn. I fold it in half and pull it through, and then I just do a chain basically. So there's one chain. Now you want to do 2 more chains, 1, 2, and then you want to do 2 double crochets in this space. 1, 2. And then you want to just keep doing clusters all the way along the bottom edge. Remember, this is still inside out, but do not worry about that, okay? Where we go backwards, forwards, turn, it doesn't really matter which way in it is yet. Crochet over that edge if you can, and then that will get rid of it, and it's less sewing in. And we all love less sewing in ends, right? So just keep crocheting over it. It's a bit of a pain in the backside to start with, but it'll be so worth it at the end, I promise. So yeah, just keep doing clusters like this. But rather than go all the way around, we're going to stop at the other edge, it's not really an edge. Well, we're going to stop over here. It's not really the edge, but you know what I mean, right? And you're just going to keep doing this until you get to the desired length. But I'll show you how to finish and start a new row. Just gotta love it when that happens. However many rows you do record it, because it will make the other side so much easier. I think I'm going to aim for 10 and see what it looks like. So nearly at the end of this first row. And then into this last corner, we are going to do another cluster. This is where it slightly changes. And at the top of here, we're going to do a chain 3. So we've done our chain 3, then we're going to flip it. So we're going to turn our work. And then, rather than go into this space here, we're going to do our first cluster in here, which is what gives us our space for the last cluster on the next row, if you know what I mean. So your last cluster on the next row will go into this space, but don't worry, I will show you. Now just continue, cluster all the way along, and I will meet you at the other end. So we're coming up to the end of the next row, so we're going to pop a cluster in here. Then what we're going to do is pop a double into the top of that chain there. I've cheated a little bit, but it'll be all right. Then we're going to chain 3, then we're going to turn, and then we're going to pop our cluster into this space. So we're just going to do 2 because we've already got the chain. Oops. And then we're going to go into each space again like this. And I will meet you at the other end. Just keep going. Right, we're on row 3. Remember what row you are on. Remember to record how many rows you do. It will so save you on the other side. And now we're back at the end of this row, so we're just going to pop a cluster in here. Now you'll see we've got a nice chain space here, so we're going to pop a whole cluster in there. Then we're going to chain 3, we're going to turn again. I'm just going to tally, that's my 3rd row so I don't forget. And then we are going to do our next cluster in here, okay? Just in there. So basically, wherever there is a chain space at the end, we're going to pop a cluster in there and a chain 3, and we're going to leave our space and do the cluster in the next gap. And when we get to this end here, we're going to do our cluster in here, and we're going to do our double into the top of this chain space, and then we are going to just do our double, turn our work, and then once we've turned it, we'll do our cluster into there, and just keep going until you've got as many rows as you need for the length. So I'm almost at the end of the 10th row. 10 was just a guesstimate for how long I needed it, okay? You might not need 10, you might need more than 10. Either or is fine, but you need to find however many you need. So I am almost at the end of my 10th. Once I get to the end, I'm going to measure it against me and see if I am happy. But please don't forget, there will be a waistband that goes on it, so it doesn't need to go all the way to the bottom, because you will have about an inch or maybe a bit more than an inch of waistband as well, okay? So when you get to the end of the row where you think, okay, it might be long enough, do not fasten it off, because you need to test it. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if you had to put it back on, but it would be easier if you didn't. So just don't fasten it off until you're sure it's the size that you want. So here I am just going to do my double in the last, and then I'm going to stitch mark it so we can try it. But as per always, I can't find a stitch marker, so I'll be right back. So I found my stitch marker. Here it is, look, keeping it all nice and safe. Now what we're going to do is the same as we did before. We're just going to pop it on as if it's a cardigan. Imagine, just don't worry about the gaping hole. Now as you can see, my length here is, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to stop here because the length is good. Make a note of how many rows you've done, because you can just then on this, when we do it again, because you have to do the whole thing again, you'll just know how many rows and you won't have to do all the measuring. But I am happy with the length of that. I'm not going to extend it. In fact, it's probably a little bit too long, but like I said, I'm happy. So yeah, that's where I'm going to stop. So I'm going to fasten off now, okay? So once you've got the right length, just fasten off as per normal. Now next week, oh come over here, I haven't even, oh there. Next week we are going to get the arms right, but if you want to get ahead, you can do the arms in exactly the same way we've just added to the body, but when you do the arms, unpin them so you're working in straight rows. I was hoping that by the time I got to the arms I would be back on the white with my yarn, because my arms are actually white. Let me show you. So I was hoping that I would be able to carry straight on with the white. Now what I'm unsure of yet is whether I'm going to do green, which is then going to go back to white, or whether I'm going to use the green for something else and then use the white. But that's your choice.
Hope you've had fun. Catch you next week.